Welcome to Sacred Authenticity. I'm Steph Furo, a self-empowerment guide, owner of The Empowered Soul, and it is absolutely my mission to help guide people back home to themselves. And this is where it begins, knowing yourself and honoring what you discover about yourself. And that's exactly what we explore on this show, bringing in stories and wisdom from a wonderful guest, new guest each week. And today I'm so thrilled to welcome Kelly Leaning. Kelly helps and teaches others to activate their inner healer through guidance through the space of the Akashic records and various energy healing modalities, including Usui Holy Fire Reiki, Gaia Reiki, Atlantean, angelic guidance, Goddess Isis energy healing, and crystal healing. She truly believes that everyone can learn how to tap into their magic and access divine wisdom so that they can trust, heal, and be their authentic self. Thanks so much for being here, Kelly.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you for inviting me to your show. It's such an honor to be here today.
I can't wait for all of the goodness that's going to come forward in this conversation. And one thing that I'm so interested in is that, we all have our own story. We all have our own path and our journey to arrive at this place where there's a deeper connection with yourself and this deeper commitment to yourself as well. So I would love for you to describe your own journey for us and kind of walk us through that like self-discovery process and how you made sense of it all and kind of integrated those new learnings about yourself.
Well, I think like a lot of us, we kind of get pushed on this path unexpectedly. Something happens in our life which we weren't actually planning that it would unfold, and it kind of like pulls the rug under our feet kind of thing. So that's kind of what happened to me. 7 years ago, I would have never imagined that I'm on this path. I would have never even anticipated what Reiki or what the Akashic record was. I just wouldn't know what it was. And basically, unfortunately, my husband was checking out of our marriage. Things weren't going very well. And he left, I'm actually British, but I'm living in Germany. So he left, and it was just me and my two children, who were 3 and 5 at the time. So they were really little, and 2 little boys who were not really into sleeping either. So you can imagine how it is when you're kind of at that stage. And so a lot of people can probably relate to that with the lack of sleep as a mum. And yeah, it was kind of like shook my world up, and I didn't have my foundations anymore. I'm here in Germany. He was my family here. And yeah, I kind of completely lost my identity. I went into autopilot because I needed to, because of my children. My family is obviously back in the UK, so they couldn't support me like I needed them to support me because they weren't physically here, which is, no fault of theirs. And so it was just trying to find ways that I could like survive the day. As silly as that may sound, it was just my mission was to get through that day and to make sure that, my 2 little boys were fine. And when something like that happens, and I'm a very, very sensitive person, so I feel a lot of things and emotions go very, very deep in me. And somehow I was on Facebook and ended up connecting to an old school friend who was actually an energy healer herself and doing lots of spiritual work. So my next visit back to the UK, I actually arranged to meet up with her to have a Reiki session, not at all knowing what this Reiki session was going to be like, what to expect. But, it was like, okay, this is going to do your mental, your spiritual, your body, your emotional self so much good. So I'm like, okay, I need to do that because I needed to try something new. And I did. And it was kind of one of those things which I really can't explain. And the more I connected to this energy, the more I felt like things were healing on ways and on levels that I couldn't explain. I couldn't even get my conscious mind around it. I just knew that it did me good. So I continued to do that. Even when I was back in Germany, we all know energy has no boundaries or space or time. So I was receiving distance Reiki and, distant energy healing from her. And then I kind of got to the stage where it's like, I want to not be dependent on somebody. I wanted to be able to, it's like things were switching themselves on. I was getting visions. I was starting to sense, really feel things. My intuition was switching on, but, I wasn't aware of this. So when I was next back in the UK, she actually attuned me to Goddess Isa's healing energy. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do with this, because it's empowering that, that divine feminine, really reclaiming your sovereignty and stepping into your power. And I really needed to reclaim that power of mine back, which I'd so freely not only given away to my now ex-husband, but, just from people pleasing, from, society, how we're conditioned and everything. And things like that. We take on patterns and conditions from our ancestors, which we're not aware of. We want to fit in. We don't want to be seen as someone who's standing, not in the line kind of thing when we're younger. So, I was attuned to Goddess Isa's healing energy, which was just phenomenal. So I was able to actually heal myself and give this energy healing to my children, which was like, that was my main thing. It was like looking after me and my 2 boys. And then as that unfolded, I realized, I was giving it to a few friends and they were like, oh, this is really, really good. You need to be like offering it to other people. And then you're like, nah, little me, who's going to want it from me? And that led me also onto the journey, because in Germany, it wasn't known, everyone spoke about Reiki. So I was like, well, I kind of need to go down that Reiki path for people to, recognize it, understand it, accept it. Maybe, that was me not trusting myself, thinking I needed to do something else, which is great. And I'm so glad that I did. So I originally went and learned Usui Reiki. And after I got up to master level on that, I decided that I really felt this holy fire was calling me in. And it's also, you can use the holy fire with the Usui Reiki, but you can also use the holy fire as standalone. And it really just felt good. So while I was doing my Reiki holy fire, I actually kept, having like these little nudges. And for some reason, I ended up on a mailing list for the Akashic Academy. And I'm like, Akashic, what's that? No idea. And I kept getting these emails. I must have clicked something and signed up for something, because it's not just going to magically appear in my mailbox. And then there was an opportunity to book an Akashic record reading session. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm curious. I wanted guidance, still things was going on with my ex-husband. I was still having to heal a lot on a lot of levels. I still wanted to understand. My conscious mind wanted to understand. And I just, wanted answers. And I was like, okay, let's go to the Akash. And when I was having my Akashic record reading, the lady who was doing the Akashic reading, that's is Emily Harrison, who's the founder of the Akashic Academy. She was like, Kelly, you do realize that you are tapping into your Akash. And I'm like, I'm not really even sure what that is, So she kind of explained it in that. And it was like so much wisdom, so much guidance, and so much deep healing came through in that session that I was like, okay, this is really lighting me up within. And I really felt that pull that I wanted to learn this for myself. So I then went on to do my Akashic Record Practitioner certification. And that went hand in hand with like the energy healing, with the Goddess Isis, with the Reiki and the Usui and the Holy Fire. And then it kind of just like curiosity kept guiding me along. So I was like, okay, things kept popping into my field. I done certified angel practitioner with Carl Gray, and then done the crystal energy healing with him as well. And I'm actually one of his certified practitioners. So it's just like, I kept somehow landing on this path. So I was like, just following the little breadcrumbs, basically, because it made me feel good in myself. It was like coming home to myself, understanding more about myself. And it was kind of me, healing myself, through learning the tools from other people, which were being provided to me. And so that led on to also doing a mediumship course, which, I realized, as I have a lot of respect for mediumship, that's very, mediums. I think I have a little bit of too much respect, that I'm a bit like fearful of something coming in there sometimes. So I go straight up to the Akash. Messages do come in, but I like to go straight up to the Akash the whole time. So basically, as I was doing all these energy healing modalities, and I was very much in my spiritual course at that time, I wasn't really telling anybody, my family didn't really know what I was doing. And when it kind of came out, there was kind of like you're doing what? Okay. And like, are you okay, Kelly? It's like, yeah, I'm okay. And I am really okay. And, obviously they accept it now, and that's wonderful. They see, how much good it's doing me. And yeah, so it was basically through my life being kind of pulled out from under my feet, because I obviously can't leave Germany because of the children. I need to stay here so, we can co-parent. And, from that moment of like him leaving and myself basically being thrown into 1,000 pieces on the ground, is me trying to fix that puzzle within me and actually building myself up so I'm a much more stronger version of myself and more in tune with myself. And that would not have been possible with the path, without that, walking that path. Yeah.
Wow. And it sounds like, from that very first Reiki session, you were just pulled onto this path
Yeah.
almost. Like it sounds
Yeah.
like things just aligned in kind of a magnetic way from there.
Completely. Yeah. I didn't even really think about it. It was just like, oh, how you get
Yeah.
excited about something. And it was just like, it was kind of just, I obviously needed a distraction as well. I had my children, I was a mum, but I also needed to bring myself in some balance. And, you got 2 small children under the age of 5, and you're in a foreign country and you haven't got a babysitter, you don't want to be sitting home every evening pining and crying your eyes out. You're going to try, that's going to happen, and that's absolutely
Yeah.
okay, because you have to work through that grief. But it was like my medicine for me, and I think that was a wise choice of medicine for me, definitely.
I
Yeah. And
love
that
that
kind of
you
just, yeah.
go ahead.
No, sorry, I was just going to say, and that basically just led me onto, me acknowledging that, placing that trust in myself, that I had the ability to heal myself and also to become and be myself. And this is something which I truly believe. And that's like the message behind my business, Trust, Heal, Be Thyself, is that each and every one of us, we can do that. We don't have to, go worship from some guru. We have that within us. It's just that remembrance and reactivation and connecting to thyself again.
That's so beautiful. And I love too how you described that you were following your curiosity,
Mm-hmm.
because I think back to the time in my life where I was searching for like, how am I going to put all these pieces together? And
Yeah.
I heard the advice all the time, follow your passion, follow your passion. But I don't know what I'm passionate about. I don't
Yeah.
know yet. And when
Uh-huh.
I heard someone say follow your curiosity, I was like, "Oh, I can do that. I know what I'm curious about." And then I discovered more and more things I was curious about, and then, pretty soon you're stumbling deeply into what you're passionate about because
Yeah.
you're learning more and more. So I'm really curious about this maybe turning point then of your you're following your curiosity, you're getting more and more passionate and really benefiting from this work and these things you were experiencing, but still in the spiritual closet. So what was the turning point to walk out of that and to tell your family what you've been up to and start a business, which is
Yeah.
very visible?
I'd probably say a good 2 years ago, I really started to dip that toe out and slowly push that door open and start to be more confident with it. I think it's obviously when you're walking this path and you're doing a lot of inner work, you realize that it's having such positive effects on yourself as well, which you're at the beginning not aware of. You're feeling good, but it's strengthening that self-trust, it's strengthening that confidence, and you're stepping into your ownership of who you are. And it was because I was so flashed by the Akash, basically, is the best way to say. That was really a space where I just felt uniquely myself. And that is, as we both know, that's an area with zero judgment and full of unconditional love. And through the space of the Akash, I did business coaching, which then was like, well, if I'm doing business coaching, then I kind of need to have a business to like put it to. And that's how my business, Trust, Heal, Be Thyself, was birthed, because it was literally, it started off as a motto for myself, but I thought, well, that's just the essence of my journey, and that's basically the essence of probably everybody else's journey at the end of the day, because it all goes very much hand in hand. And yeah, it was just like, for me, I really wanted people to see that each and every one of us can do this. It does, I'm still working my corporate job. I'm a mum of two small children. Well, they're 11 and 10 at the moment now, so they're getting bigger. But it was just like, I feel like I want to share this. And, if you want to start sharing it, and if you want to, people want to start paying you for it, you needed to register here in Germany. So I had to register a business and claim it, basically. So, and then after claiming it, when you start up a business, you're going to have to make yourself visible. And admittedly, I am still working on that, because, for me, I am a very shy person, and I kind of don't want to be in the center of attention. But I realize, there's so many people out there who are probably very similar and have so much wisdom themselves and so much light themselves, which should really be shared together. And we are all eye level, we are all equal. So we shouldn't have that need to feel like we need to hide. And yeah, it's just going with what feels comfortable with yourself, and that's what I'm doing. I'm going with what feels comfortable. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. And there's something else you said that really struck me, because I think so many moms in particular can relate to this, that your children were such a motivation to you in the beginning.
Yeah.
Like, you want to be there for them, you want to show
Yeah.
up for them and help guide them through the transition.
Yeah.
And of course, that's a beautiful and can be such a deep and powerful motivation for us. But it seems that at some point along the way, there was this cultivated more and more of a sense of devotion to yourself, or motivation like from within your own self. So I wonder if you could speak to that at all, like kind of how that came about, and any extra fuel that added to your
That's
journey.
a really good question. How can I best explain that? I mean, my children are always at the core of everything. For me I can't show up and parent to the level that I want to parent, and I also want to parent a bit differently, to how I was parented. I mean, I'm not saying that how I was parented is wrong at all, but times have changed, and our kids also need to be aware of how much things have changed. And kids today, they're so much more switched on than we can imagine. They're so connected. And if we're aware of that connection that they have themselves, our parents probably weren't aware of that. And so, that was probably numbed down. And that's absolutely, that's okay. That's how it was. But yeah, I really not quite sure how to answer that one. If I'm really honest, it's a difficult one to answer. I guess it is just like, I need to fill my cup so I can share what I want to give to others. And if my cup or my engine's running on empty, then I can't hold the space and be present enough at the level I want to be present for my children. So I guess that's what it is. It was like, okay, if I struggle, everyone else is going to struggle too. And they're too young to have that responsibility. I need to show up, and it is just me, basically. So I've really got to show up.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of that discovery that like it all starts with me. Like if I'm not well, my family is not well, or
Yeah.
just really, really, it's like connecting with it with a deeper understanding, like just how vital it is to care for yourself and to come alive yourself, because then you can see the effect that has, and all the motivations are satisfied.
Yeah, and also
within
I didn't
that.
want my children to, to have any trauma from, the breakup, and, hand on my heart, at the moment they are really great. It works well with the co-parenting. I can, it's been hard, and it's been, challenging without a doubt. And, it's always, ups and downs. That's normal. And I think everybody can relate to that. But it's just knowing that you've got that inner strength within yourself, that you can really, even in the moments where you feel like, okay, that you tell yourself, I can do this. It's okay, I'm feeling this. This is not forever. This too is going to pass. And then just like, having that motivation in front of you, which is generally my children.
Yeah. And, we're always evolving, and you have a lot of things on your plate. There are a number of things to do.
Yeah.
So how do you how do you stay, just very practically, how do you stay connected with yourself on a, from day to day?
Okay. I can obviously, when you're walking this path, you learn very quickly the tools that you need to actually shift yourself out of them, because we're human. We have normal experiences, we have all our emotion, we feel all our feels, and we have good days and we also have bad days, and that's just normal. And sometimes we can have a moment where we're kind of knocked out of alignment, and it's being able to recognize that, and recognizing how you're feeling and how you're showing up when you're feeling, and what have you been doing, analyzing around that. Okay, why am I feeling this? Having that little internal conversation with yourself. And for me, making sure I get out in nature is really important. Make sure that I'm clear on my energy. A lot of the time it's really simple. I'm just like, even if I'm in my car, like driving home from the office or something, it's like, I'm sitting in my car and I'm just saying, all these energies and all these emotions which aren't mine, I release them now. And just letting yourself have that internal car wash going on, and knowing that you're connected, even in the moments where you do feel like you're on your own, knowing that everything is oneness. And it's a process, and yourself, the more you tap into it, the more connected you are, the more quicker the guidance comes in. And you're constantly, I work with oracle cards, I give myself Reiki, I make sure I'm moving. Yoga is really something which I need, especially yin yoga, because we hold so much emotion, especially like in our hip areas as women as well. So that's like, if I know that, okay, I've been feeling out of sorts, and I'm like, okay, have I done any yoga today? Have I made sure my energy is have I really like let go of stuff which is weighing me down? Like little questions that I ask myself, and you kind of get into that practice. And also knowing your worth and letting go of that people pleasing is very important. And as empaths, or we always want to make sure that everyone else is okay, and we don't want to be seen as giving the wrong answer. But it's like really reclaiming that trust, standing your ground, and putting in your boundaries, even if it's uncomfortable at the beginning. If it's feeling uncomfortable, it's not because it's bad, it's actually because you're pushing through into a new level of growth.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. And I love that you described, that there are these practices, very specific practices and tools that, help a lot of people, and that you've discovered work really well for you. But that I love that it kind of starts from that internal conversation, and just staying, like, being with yourself throughout the day. Because so often we can kind of just, like, I don't know, fly into the other room while we're going about our day. But being with yourself, and staying connected in conversation to to really be able to discern what is needed, or what is best right now, because it doesn't always need to be about doing all the things, but
Yes.
when you need to do the things, what's the right thing?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And also just bringing your awareness back to yourself. It's like we always search, if something, a situation has happened to us, or something's being, quite often it's a mirror back to us. What do I need to recognize? Why is this a situation, or being reflected back to me? How am I eventually contribution? Taking ownership. Always no, it's not finger pointing, it's taking ownership from what's going on around you, and what. Yeah.
Well, gosh, time flies when you're having
Yeah.
a good conversation. But I guess one more question I'd like to ask is, there can be a lot of tension on this journey, especially in the beginning, as you're discovering more things about yourself, and then, what is currently out of alignment in your life, and making some decisions that really, bring you closer to who you are and what feels good. There can be a lot of tension in that when you're, you know, coming out of the spiritual closet with your family, or you're making a career change, or
Yeah,
these changes can be very unsettling, even just within
totally.
ourselves. So what encouragement do you have for people who are on this path of knowing themselves and honoring themselves more deeply, but experiencing that tension? And then I'll just add on to that. So what encouragement, but then also how can people find you, and how might someone work with you if they're feeling really drawn to that?
What I would encourage people to do is to literally, a lot of the time when stuff is going on, we start to overthink. And I was very, very, very much one of those people, too much in my head, overthinking, oh God, what could that person be thinking? And oh my God, if I do this, this could happen. What if, drop the what ifs. It's really hard, but it helps enlighten and lighten your own load as well. It takes a while to start doing it, but really to move from your headspace and really try and align into what feel good in your heart. Bring that awareness from your mind down into your heart space, and tune into your body. And if something's not feeling good in you, or a situation's not feeling good around you, where is it? How is it making you feel in your body? And actually have that internal dialogue with your body. Speak to your body. It's part of you. It's feeling these feelings and demonstrate them through uncomfortableness, or maybe nausea or something, because it's trying to convey a message with you. It's trying to talk to you, and trust that there is a message behind everything that you feel. And really, it's when you work with me, I just I have my signature program is Activate Your Inner Healer. And obviously I teach how to read the Akashic Records, and also Reiki level 1, 2, and master level as well. And for me, to work with me, I just like to be that mirror to somebody, that they can see that there's someone that's totally someone they can relate to, normal everyday person, who's got a parent who's maybe still working their job as well, and building her business on the side. And knowing that, they too have that ability to connect to the inner healer within them, that we all have that. Because I really, truly believe that it's just like remembering that you've got keys, a bunch of keys, and these bunch of keys actually unlock and open doors in yourself, which you closed just to shut things down and maybe feel safer at times. So yeah, by working with me, you can find me on my website, which is my name, kellyleaning.com. I'm on Linktree with Kelly Leaning, also on Instagram with Kelly Leaning. I do have a private Facebook group, which is called Trust, Heal, Be Thyself with Kelly Leaning Healing Hub. And I've literally, at the weekend, I opened my online school on Teachable, where to accommodate all the different time zones which I work with, that you can actually have automated content to activate your inner healer, and also to learn to read your Akashic Records, whether it's just like the first level so you can read and work in your own, or level 2 when you really want to do deep transformational work, or even level 3 where you're learning to read, for other people and actually become a certified Akashic Record practitioner yourself. So it's basically, I just want everybody not to have to be dependent on someone else, because codependency is something which I've also worked on, and something I'm continuously working on. And if I can do it, then everybody else can do it too.
Wow, that's amazing. I love that. And I'll make sure we have those links you mentioned in the comments so people can check that out and get connected. Gosh, thank you again for being here, Kelly. It was so
My absolute
wonderful.
pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, thank you so much. And for everyone watching, we will see you next time. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye.